Hi, this is Ray with Water Heaters Now, coming to you with another video, and today I'm going to show you how to do a cleaning on a Rheem Proterra heat pump. Let's start with how a heat pump works. So what it does is it takes air from the room and pulls it in through an inducer motor. It takes that air, runs it through a coil, which looks a lot like the coil on top of your furnace that runs your air conditioning. They call it superheat. It's going to take the air from the room and extrapolate the heat from that air, put it into the coil, and then the coil will drive that heat into the tank itself, actually heating the water with the air in your room. Now this is a slow process, so it takes longer to heat the water that way. So now there's two different elements, one right here and then another element lower here, so that it can operate just like an electric water heater. If you need more horsepower, say you're entertaining, you got a bunch of people over, you can put it on electric mode or max heat mode. So it's a very versatile unit. The heat pump, like your air conditioner, condenses, so you have a condensate line like this that runs to a floor drain so that it can pull off the condensation from the evaporator coil. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the air filter, because air is pulled through the unit, it brings air in and exhausts cool air out, and there's a filter, so we're going to remove that, and we're going to take that to a sink in the house, and we're going to show you how to clean that. Okay, so we just have this washable air filter. It says right on the top that it's washable. You just take it to your kitchen sink and you run some water on each side. This is brand new, so I'm not even going to take the time to wash it, but you would just take your sprayer and wash it on each side, and then take a clean towel on your countertop, set it on that clean towel, take another clean towel and put it over the filter and just pat dry that. It is important that this is dry when it goes back into the water heater itself. So just make sure that you give it a good dry, so that when you tap it like so, there's no more moisture on your hand. When it feels dry to the touch, you're good to put it back in your heater. All right, we're going to go ahead and just replace the filter back in the top of the unit. And there's no specific direction. Either way works just fine on this specific filter. So we've effectively cleaned out the air filter. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to test the pressure valve. This is the pressure valve. It's what prevents your water heater from becoming like a rocket. If you want to see what that looks like, go to Mythbusters water heater on YouTube. It's a hilarious video. So we're just going to put a bucket underneath the tube, and then we're going to open this valve. So this little valve right here, when it has pressure, it'll do it automatically, but you can do it manually to make sure it's okay. And you don't want any garbage gathering up in that area. So we just open it, and it's pushing water out at maybe a gallon every 5 or 6 seconds, and then stop it. See, there's a spring inside here and a series of gaskets that allow it to open when there's too much pressure or when you manually test it, and then it should seal. So there should be no drips coming from the bottom when it closes. That tells you that it's operating properly. So I'm just going to do that 1 or 2 more times. On, off, on, off. And within probably 10 to 15 seconds, there should be no more drips coming out of the bottom of the pipe, which is what it seems to be right now. So no drips. The temperature pressure relief valve is working properly. And I always do that test, because if it's not working correctly, it could be a real hazard to your home. So to drain your water heater in a Rheem, you have your drain valve at the bottom. I have a hose hooked up to it right now. And it's just a straight slot screwdriver. Now it's important to turn the power off to the heater first, whether it's gas or electric. In this case it's electric. So we turn the power off. So they have a sub panel in this situation for just the water heater. So you open it up, and there's generally going to be a double breaker assigned to your water heater. So we're going to turn that off to kill power to the unit. We don't want any power there when we drain the water heater, and we won't turn it back on until it's totally full. So we turn the power off, and then we turn the water valve off to the unit. All right, so the valve, well, you can always tell when a water valve is in the on position, because the handle runs with the pipe that it's serving, allowing water to flow through. So we're going to shut that off and then drain it. Okay, so what you want to do when we're going to drain the water heater, you just turn it on to the hot side on all faucets. Leave it open. We have the water shut off right now so that we can totally drain the heater. So you turn the hot water on and it'll allow the water to drain out the heater. It's the same idea like when you were a kid and you had a glass in the kitchen sink and it's full of water and you turn it upside down and pick it up. None of the water comes out until it has air to breathe. That's what we're doing for the water heater right here. And now we're ready to open up the drain valve. So it's a quarter turn and it's draining. And then a quarter turn all the way back and the valve's closed. So we're just going to go ahead and relieve the pressure. And allow that to drain. And what it's doing is it's purging out the sediment from the bottom of the heater. A little bit of sediment builds up over time and it'll purge out just fine, but if you allow it to go on too long, then it builds up and it's no longer a healthy water heater because it has a crust of steel at the bottom that it has to heat through in order to heat the water. So we'll allow that to drain for, it'll take about 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, the water heater's drained. We're going to go ahead and turn the water back on. We'll turn it on and then we'll open up hot water faucets around the house until all the air has been bled out. And again, never turn the power back on to your electric water heater until all the air has been bled out of your faucets, unless you want to break an element and change it out in your heater. Okay, so the water heater's full, air's been bled out, we're ready to fire up the system. So we're going to give power back to the heater. Okay, so at this point we're just going to do a visual inspection, and by that I mean look at the connections where the condensate goes into the heater, see if there's any drips. Make sure that the temperature pressure relief valve is not dripping. Make sure all the water connections everywhere are secure. There's no signs of corrosion or leakage. A lot of the times right behind the valves there's a packing nut. And sometimes a drip will form right in the inside of the packing nut. So look very closely at your valve handles. Outside of that, you're just looking for any dents, damage, drips, anything that may have happened. And you do this annually, so generally nothing's going to happen because your heater's off in the side of a room somewhere in the basement. But it's just a good idea to look through. If you catch a problem when it's small, then you don't have a flooded basement, because that's no fun at all. Okay, so for the mode of the unit, I'm going to take it out of vacation mode. Goes to energy saver, to high demand, to heat pump, to electric. So those are different modes you can operate in. We generally keep it on energy saver so that it uses the heat pump first and then fills in with the electric elements. So you can hear it kick on. There are some people that complain about the noise of a heat pump. It's fairly quiet, but depending on the build of the house, sometimes that noise can radiate up through the home. So that's everything. You do a visual inspection, you clean the filter, you do a drain and flush, you blow out the temperature pressure relief valve, and that's the extent of doing a cleaning on your hybrid heat pump Rheem Proterra Prestige.